everyone, what's going on? Today we got the third edition of the past, present, and future builds for Logres, and today we'll be covering over Leif. Leif is a bit rushed because this class is generally really new to the game, and you're basically starting off at a very high basic level in order to get a meta build for Leif, so that's why this class is pretty hard to fund, so don't be surprised that some of these builds are like way out there and you're probably going like, whoa, I'm probably never going to have this in my lifetime. It is really hard to get one. So that being said, let's get down to it and let's go ahead and talk about this build. So Leif derives from sword mages. Sword mages can use basically Osiris's and basically all tier 1, tier 2 weapons for mages except war blades. So Leif has a special passive which separates them from sword mages, which means if you alternate weapon series, they will get a damage limit that will help them with whatever next weapon or special attack they're using next. So with that being said, the first and basic build I was introduced to Logres for Leifs is the Athena build, the basic Athena build. So we'll call this the Athena meta, and in this case, at the time, the best build at the time, in my opinion, is the double. You can go double lunatic or double mythics with a Athena scepter, Athena warblade, and either a berserk scepter or warblade, whichever you choose. It doesn't really matter. Personally, I say if you want to be a specifically only Leif main, no Valkyrie whatsoever, go ahead and do the warblade for berserk. Otherwise, if you plan on being a Valkyrie as well, I will go ahead and do the scepter. That's what I did for my Japanese Leif. So that's the go-to right there. I'm aware that some people out there do 3 stackers, berserk, and 1 magic sword. That's perfectly fine. For me, I go about sustained DPS, so I want to spam as much AoE as possible. That's why I like 2 magic swords versus just 1 basic magic sword. That's why the 2 is the way to go for me. Alright, with that being said, the next meta we have is the goddess meta. In this meta, this is basically Leifs at their prime as of right now for a very long time. This is the 4 stacker, 1 berserk series build. 2 magic swords replace 2 surfboards replaces the mythics or lunatics, whatever you're using. In this case, this build is all about generating stacks. All about stacks, 4 stacks, 1 berserk. So you can do a rotation like goddess, a scepter, warblade, scepter, goddess. That's basically working on passives. Then use the a scepter again, then use the magic sword, and basically just vice versa. Just keep rotating between these skills. Make sure you keep those passive up. So that's very beneficial to have. Double surfboard, I would recommend 2, as you guys see in my goddess video. 2 goddess surfboards is the way to go for a Leif. So we'll call this the OP Athena / goddess meta, which I really like for Leifs. So with the introduction of the prison sword, you don't really have to get these guys. If you have 2 surfboards, that's perfectly fine. If you want to stay a goddess Leif, that's perfectly fine. That's why I'm gonna label this prison meta as well. So there's 3 types of builds you can do in this situation. Specifically, I kept these spaced out like this because it's kind of weird. Because these 3 builds right here are all viable. Like all these 3 right here, these are perfectly viable. Give me a straight line, perfect. So any of these 3 are perfectly fine during the prison series. Basically this one right here is all about the stacks build. So if you want to build stacks, this is the one to go. This also has some single target DPS, which is really nice. So that's how I'll go ahead and do these. Some people are not fortunate enough to get 2 goddesses of the same element. That's why Leifs as its own. Getting a Athena scepter and Athena warblade of the same color is already hard as it is. Getting a surfboard on top of that is even harder, and getting a second one is even harder on top of that. So this is the basic Leif build as it is. 1 prison, 1 goddess, 1 Athena scepter, 1 warblade, and 1 berserk of whatever weapon type you want to. This is as basic as it can get. Still keeps the same passives up. The Athena scepter, warblades, all do DPS. You have 2 magic swords. This one is also your main auto attacker, so make sure you auto attack once with the surfboard and swap back to your main auto attack magic sword, which would be the prison. And it hits pretty hard for a magic sword auto attack. So that's why if you want to auto attack a bit more, just go ahead and use this one. This one is perfectly fine for a basic Leif build. And the final one we have is basically a all spam 3 magic swords, 1 war blade, and 1 Zeus for the prison meta. This one focuses on getting stacks while still having an auto attack available up. So this one has 3 stackers, but 1 auto attack versus 4 stackers right here, but no auto attacks whatsoever. That's why this goddess one is pretty iffy. It's meant to be spam, so you have quick territory a lot. Goddess build is the way to go. Otherwise, I would advise just doing something like this, where you can just have 2 and just have 1 good auto attack magic sword like a prison. This one's perfectly fine. Rotations can be something like surfboard, warblade, or scepter, surfboard, berserk, then prison. That's perfectly fine. At this point, if you do have 3 magic swords, guys, don't worry too much about the Leaf passive. At this point, Leaf passives are only, in my opinion, Leaf passive is meant for Athena Leafs. And if you plan on going to 3 magic sword route, you only have 1 Athena, so you don't have to neglect. You don't have to focus too much on the Athena damage in particular. It's not going to be that much detrimental. You basically you'll recover all that passive damage loss from just the extra stacks from your magic sword damage and the berserk stacking damage on top of it. So don't worry too much about the passives, guys. We plan on doing the 3 magic sword build for goddesses and prison. Alright, so that was a doozy right there. That basically covers like most of the prison. Prison's when it gets pretty tricky. You can build whatever you want when it leaves. That's the cool thing about it. So that's why I like it. That's why once prison drops, you can build whatever you want when it leaves. Make sure you just have those stackers, and you'll be perfectly fine. Alright, so now we got to the final meta, which is called the Zeus meta. I'm in this state as of right now. This one, you can do the basic Athena build as well. I think my best build right now is I replace the Warblade with my Zeus Warblade, and is what I have right now. It's not terrible. I like it a lot. But I prefer, if you do have a second surfboard, go ahead and use that with the Zeus, because at this point in the game, once you get the Zeus meta and you have this build in particular, Leaf passive is not needed anymore whatsoever. You can min-max it a bit and just like try to play around with the passive a little bit if you want to, but at the end of the day, if you have 3 magic swords, your main objective is just to spam these magic swords to do the AoE damage and to do to stack up those stacks for your buffs. So rotations for these can be like magic sword, Zeus, berserk into a prison. Go back to spamming these 2 again. 2 magic swords back to back, perfectly fine. You're going a 3 magic sword build, and with Zeus doesn't do damage itself. It just recovers you your HP, your EP, and gives you 12 stacks. So again, guys, don't worry too much about the passives for this. Just make sure you get those stacks up for your goddesses, and go ahead and stack it, and unleash your really strong magic hit right here. So that's the Zeus meta as in itself. The tier 4 for Leafs is called Belial, the wolf dog magic sword, whatever you want to call it. It's I don't know what it's called exactly. It might be called like an ultimate sword. I don't know what it's called, but it's basically like you get a familiar with the magic sword. I personally think Belial is absolute trash. It doesn't do anything. The only time Belial is actually useful is when you're like you want to farm like an AoE thing, and it has like 100 million HP. Belial can basically just one-shot it at 100 million HP, which is pretty good for AoE. But after that, anything above 100 million HP, just basically just Zeus, Berserk, Prison Sword, and they're dead. So that saves a lot of time. I personally don't think Belial is worth getting, but if you guys want to go ahead and get Belial, by all means go ahead and do so. I personally would not recommend it, and looking at a past YouTuber, a really popular Japanese YouTuber, he rates Belial in rank 12th, I believe. So yeah, I think it's absolute trash. I rank it at the absolute bottom. So it is not a great weapon, guys. Zeus can out damage it and out replace it and be more useful than Belial, and it does not get dispelled by Extinction Wave. That's why I think Belial is not really worth rolling into. The best build for Leaf by the time you get to endgame would be something like this, or you can replace this prison with the 3rd magic sword, and that'll be perfectly fine. So with that being said, guys, that is Leaf. I talked a little bit too much about it. It is a little more in depth compared to other DPSs because of the passives, and some people are so fixated on abusing those passives or playing around the passives that they forgot that damage is damage. So don't worry too much about it. So That being said, guys, thank you all for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next video.